the next thing I wanted to talk about here is I wanted to head into this game. I don't want
Yeah,
to take too much of your time. I know that it's getting late for you, but
that's no problem. It's exciting.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
um,
cool to talk about it.
yeah. So for this game, the way I want this one to be played, Flo, you have you actually have a massive enclosure. I guess what I would say for this game is the key or the goal is, let's say that I am a business
Mhm.
and I want you to pitch to me the idea of a really interesting animal that can occupy a large space, but it can't be an animal that you own or an animal for you, Amelia, that you've already said. So you have to tell me reptile, amphibian, invertebrate, or mixed combination, like a bioactive like ecosystem. What would you create? What would you pitch to me if we were going to pay you to build this greenhouse, so to speak, of a
Mm.
habitat? Who
Yeah.
wants to take it first?
So, uh, yeah, I think I have something in mind.
Okay.
Uh, so I would definitely go for dart frogs, to be honest, because everybody loves colorful frogs. They are super interesting. They are the perfect representatives of the rainforest. You can build a crazy nice natural habitat with cool plants, get like the feeling that you are in the jungle with all the calling that they are doing, and observe different behaviors. You can feed them, you can see how they breed. Uh, if you like ophagas, you can get there are so many different species that you can get into. I think you can build a very cool enclosure for them and have a lot of fun because they're moving around quite a bit and use every inch. That would be my take.
So give me an idea here of how big it would be. You can say in meters here. I have a converter. I'll share that with our audience. But how big of an enclosure would you want to provide for these Ufaga dart frogs?
For a business,
For a business, yeah. You pitch it.
or
It's got to be like greenhouse size. So it's got to be big.
so, well, that's tough. So I think I would make it like a room divider. So maybe like 5 6 meters long and maybe also 3 meters high, 2 meters deep, and go full on rainforest. Uh, yeah,
Give
I
me one
think that
second.
that's the most fun part about it, recreating nature. For me, it's more about having a piece of Sorry, the cat wants to be in the podcast as well. For me, it's more like creating a piece of habitat in my living room. It's about the animals, but in focus is more the habitat for me. So that I that's something I would build for a client.
What size again for the width in meters?
Uh, 2 meters.
Two. Okay, give
Yeah.
me a second here. All right, and then for the height, how high would you want it to be?
mm,
You said
Around
three.
3 meters. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I will. I will share my screen to show you how big it is. Um, so this is calculated in um from meters to feet and from feet to inches. So for inches, this is what it would come down to. So you're looking at a 7,814.7 gallon.
Oh, wow.
That is bigger than the majority of ponds that I've seen in backyards in terms of like
Mhm.
overall gallons. That's nuts. That would be that would be something where it would be a piece of furniture, like you'd have to have that built into the wall or something, so that way
Yeah,
people could really enjoy it.
Yeah, like a room divider or something like that.
Yeah, like you
Mhm.
said, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a big room divider. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking, wow, this might be a couple room divider. So that's impressive. All right. So, Amelia, what are your thoughts? Uh, what animal would you want to take?
Um, well, gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to give you these dimensions like this, because I'm not really sure what would be considered the ideal or the appropriate dimensions, but just kind of if I had space to do a large enclosure that was a display kind of thing, probably go for some kind of a reptile that you could kind of have like a multi-layer kind of a thing going on, something like a caiman lizard or like a water dragon, where you could have like really a variety of things going on in one enclosure and have the animal utilize all of it. So have kind of like a polydarium, but also a land area, but also an arboreal area and stuff like that, and just be able to pack a bunch of variety into there and have it be a fairly active animal that's actually going to utilize it as well.
Something that comes to mind would be a basilisk, I think, would
Oh
be
yeah.
Mm,
one of those
Hmm.
yeah.
animals that would be interesting with
Yep.
fish and quite possibly, I don't know if this would be controversial, if it was a large enough enclosure, maybe even a turtle. But
You
yeah,
can I've seen people cohabitate caiman lizards and like mata mata turtles in
Mhm.
South American exhibits. That's a thing you can do.
there you go. That'd be another cool idea. So I'll make sure when the video comes out to throw that stuff up on the screen so people can see what you
Yeah.
guys were actually referring to.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's very interesting. I think I'm gonna stay out of the game for this one because for the sake of time. But I think that those are two very interesting enclosures. Those dart frogs would have the probably the biggest enclosure known to man in that case. Like, I don't think anybody is keeping a 7,000 gallon dart frog tank.
Maybe, who knows?
You could do it.
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
be the next greenhouse.
I have to win a lottery for that one.
Hmm.
That'd be half the house.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be cool though. Imagine having to go
Yeah,
through that to get to the kitchen.
This
yeah,
is my apartment and this is my frog's apartment.
yeah. Or maybe live in the greenhouse itself.
Yeah, really.
I do want to. So we'll have one last segment here. So you said you'd listened to the podcast and you've listened and heard me on other podcasts.
Mhm.
So some of the big things that the guys on other podcasts have talked about is the 240-gallon tank that I'm doing with like all native stuff. So I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it, to hear some ideas or different things that you had been questioning since you've been a listener as well. I think that's even cooler is to have somebody who watches the videos actually be on them. But
Mhm. Yeah, I totally love it, to be honest. So that's totally my style. I would go for. What's really cool is with the lightning and thunderstorm imitation. I think that's something very cool, and maybe it's something that we should consider more as a light source. Maybe it triggers something or triggers different behaviors. Yeah, I just love the idea that I'm all for it. So I basically have nothing to change, but I love that you're doing that for also only American toad. But that's the way. I think you have so much joy with this animal in this enclosure. Totally.
that's awesome. That's what I present whenever I go to these podcasts. Yeah, I said I wanted to talk about this in the very beginning. So one of the things that I'm trying to practice with this tank is sustainability,
Mm,
and you talked about the electric bill, and that's something
mm,
that I'm concerned about too. Not for me yet, because I haven't moved out since I'm a grad student and I
mm,
have a lot of stuff going on. But um, it'll make my dad very happy if I pull this off. So I'm actually looking at getting a solar generator, it's
mm, mm,
powered by the sun, and I would be able to run about 71% of the energy from the big tank. I'd be able to supply it with solar power and rely on about somewhere around 29 to 28% on electricity, which would mean that, you know, if the power goes out, my animals would still have their lights. They'd still have something like different things, random things like the fogger might turn on and still be able to turn on. But I'm really liking the idea, and that's I think why I pulled the trigger with the roaches about being in a bigger tank. I really like the idea about trying to be a producer instead of just always a consumer, making your own, whether that be inverts like feeders or energy, or like I got a rain barrel, so now I'm starting to take rainwater. Also, when it was warmer out, I have a sprinkler that will spray the plants in my yard for the habitats that I've built for wild frogs and toads. So it's a mix of rainwater and city water that I can then make a 7.0 in pH. So I kind of mess with it a little bit, but it's still the same water component of rainwater for the most part. But, you know, I'm using that as well. Not that I have to worry about the water, but I just thought it might be a cool idea, you know, for 50 gallons or 100 gallons of rainwater that I could then repurpose into my tank. So for you, like you were talking about, you know, the electric bill, I don't know. It's probably not possible in an apartment to like have solar panels and pull that energy, but if you were planning on some way to do that, it might be beneficial that it could supply maybe a couple lights or something for the power that you probably need to consume. Just an idea that I had. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that kind of like sustainable energy idea?
Yeah, completely. So the friend that I told you about, Ben, with the
The slow Loris?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he actually works in a solar panel business. He sells them, and he's head to toes into them. He's always telling me about it. So, and he has actually so he also lives in an apartment in the city, and he has a solar panel on his balcony. And he also has like, this is a big solar panel, and he was also like, he's like a crazy scientist when it comes to building stuff like this. He has also a table on his balcony that is out of a solar panel, and
That
That's
is
awesome.
crazy.
yeah, you have to see his room. It's like it's really mad. It's super cool. You can actually watch it on. Do you know Terrarium channel on YouTube?
What is it?
Terrarium channel.
You might have to send it to me. I don't know
Yeah,
of
I
it.
can. I send you the link. He toured like Ben's place, and he has like he has all kind of crazy stuff in his enclosure. And yeah, he works with solar panels. And for me, at the moment, it's not an option because our balcony is faced to the north side, so we basically have no light at our apartment. That's a big downside. But that's definitely something when you have the opportunity to go sustainable or go with a solar panel, I would definitely go for it. Like you said, the electricity bill is I think it's 80 euros a month, and it's like the 90% of the electricity that we are using in our apartment. So I sometimes feel very bad because in general I try to be as sustainable as possible when I live my normal life. So sometimes it sucks to also get the feeder insects shipped to my place because we don't have a reptile store nearby. So then the nearest reptile store is like 50 or 60 kilometers away. So that's something that I don't really like. That's why I would like to work also more like maybe later with a real greenhouse with like actual sunlight and not so much artificial light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a big struggle, you know. Also with my animals, for example, are wild caught. It's also something that it's a whole nother box
Yeah.
to open up with sustainability and stuff like that. It's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, go.
No, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. Um, so I think, well, another thing I'm doing, I don't know that it would make sense for you to do this, but I think I told Amelia this. I've been taking leaves from the backyard from native trees. I pull them off of the tree as they're getting ready to fall off anyway. So I'm not really damaging the tree, I'm just helping it. But I take the leaves from
You're
native
grooming
plants.
the trees.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna go out and groom the trees after this podcast too. I don't even care.
Yeah.
There's people that are tree huggers, and I am a leaf puller of those trees. But realistically, but anyway, yeah, I think that the leaves are another part of it. I don't know. I guess you have more arboreal lizards, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how much time they're spending on the ground, but for animals that are primarily terrestrial, I think that it's a big deal. They seem to have a very interesting response to native stuff. You know, you just what I've seen is you can't fool them if they know something, if they know what something is, even if they've never seen it or it's been years since they've seen it, they still know what something is. And like for example, when I had the thunderstorm, all the frogs and toads come out of their enclosures. Like they come out from hiding and they watch the storm in the big tank. Just they're just amazed. They're like, "What is going on?" Like they see a
Yeah.
storm and they're just like staring at it. And I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy that it draws them out to actually wake up or
Yes.
do whatever and just come and watch the storm." So
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, I would love to see your enclosure with the fogger on and the misting system. Like if you're gonna post some content on Instagram,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely like, and you can tag us or tag me or whatever, but I'd love to see that. And if there's content that you want me to use, we can talk about that as well. I'd love to get some of your, maybe I'll even get some of your reels and I'll have it as B-roll as we're talking.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the last things I'll share here is the 240 gallon is going to have its opening night tomorrow, where
Nice.
uh, Ace and Esther, so one American toad and one wood frog, are going to get the chance to go in there, and they'll have the chance to explore it. Um, right now, with the seasons changing, I am in an odd position because I have only native plants. So it's kind of like racing. You know how you have to take a pit stop, you have to get gas.
Yeah.
Well, the plants have to go in the refrigerator, and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do. I think what I'm going to do is I have more that I haven't put in the tank. I'm going to put those in the refrigerator and let the frog and toad go in and, you know, experience the enclosure, and then pull those plants out at some point, like in a month or two, and put them in the refrigerator, and then put the other plants back out. And then in about 45 days, so realistically, roughly around February, I'll have the actual enclosure, like all of the plants together, and the animals. They won't be brumating this year, but um, they should all be together. And then there will be a couple other animals that will make the journey in, but more individually. But so keep an eye out over the weekend. There might be some posts if I can pull it off. There might be some posts of Ace and Esther going home. I consider it more for Ace going home because she's been in quarantine or like a smaller tank for 5 years. So like this is like one of those for me, a crowning or like an achieving moment, because it's like 5 years of research and field work and turning one of your biggest failures into one of your biggest successes. So the way I look at it is, you know, it's just something that's very special to me, because this is why I got into all this. I mean, that's why we're having this conversation and why I went to grad school for herpetology, because of these animals. And you know, now I have the chance to take the lid off of the channel, so to speak, and the media brand, and showcase some of the best content that's yet to come. So I'm super excited about that. And I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, if you'll join us again at some point, what your thoughts were. As
Yeah.
the next time we talk, it'll be up and running, it'll be a thing, you know, what your thoughts were. But Flo, if people are going to find you other than Instagram, is there any other social media that you want people to see? Is there anything that for people to reach out to you, to follow you, or Do you have a YouTube channel or anything?
No, but there are some videos out on YouTube. One is in German and the other one is in English. So you can, I don't know, maybe when you type in greenhouse or something like that. I don't really know the titles of the videos, but they are in my Insta, in like those little handles. I have a highlight for the YouTube videos. So maybe, yeah, but I'm mostly active on, YouTube, the second one. I'm mostly active on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I'm really happy to help out people and always open to chat with people. I love to get in touch with different or other enthusiasts. Yeah, it's always nice.
Thank you so much for joining us, Flo. And Amelia, always great to have you on. And I can't wait to reconvene this with you, a few months or even later in 2024 or so on down the road where we can kind of catch up and talk again. We'd love to have you come back on, Flo. It was a really fun and chill conversation. Really exciting and interesting to hear what's going on in Germany with the laws of like having minimum tank requirements and understanding how many different inverts you guys have. We're definitely jealous of all the crickets and locusts and cool stuff. But yeah, a lot of really, really informative and interesting stuff that we talked about here tonight. I definitely feel more educated after this one. But yeah, thank you again for joining us, and I can't wait to to catch up with you again. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share for more CCH content. We'll see you in the next one. All right.
Cool. Awesome.